Good afternoon and welcome back to the 13th Annual Youth Summit. We've gone virtual this year. Um, I'm Nikki Germain. I work here at the Family Cafe, and I am here with Alex Gonzalez.
Thank you, Nikki. And by the way, today is our for this session, this is our last session of today, and I hope you guys are enjoying the youth summit so far virtually, even though we can't really see each other face to face. And today, on our final session, we're here with Mike Benny. If you guys don't remember Mike Benny, he was actually our keynote speaker 2 years ago when we had the 2018 Florida Youth Summit. So welcome back, Mike Benny. Thank you for being here. And our session today is Take Your Power Back. Um, just to get to a little bit of know about Mike Benny, his path to becoming a speaker became evident at an early age. He convinced the staff of psychiatric hospitals to discharge him 3 times during his childhood. By fifth grade, Mike was put in a special education class, and aside from getting more individualized attention from the teacher, he learned the pencils erasers made great sounds when tapped on the desk. He had no idea that drumming will become his career or his path to recovery. And as an adult, Mike has spent many years facilitating drum workshops for children with special needs, teaching them to channel their energy by banging a drum while also learning how to listen, focus, work together, and succeed through teamwork. So, Mike Vinny, you have the floor here.
Thank you, and hello to all of you. I'm super excited to be here. I really am. And I want to share something with you that one of the difficult things about me giving this presentation today for you was that 2 years ago, I was your speaker, and I told Lori that it was the greatest compliment to bring me back. So I really appreciate being here. But I started thinking of all of you that I met 2 years ago and how I can't be there in Florida now because of this pandemic, and it really made me sad. So I actually had to sit with a lot of emotions. So if I get a little emotional, that's some of what's on my mind, and I wanted to share that with you. Today, we are going to talk about taking your power back, and I want to explain what I mean by that. This COVID-19 pandemic, all the politics, all of the social injustice issues happening in the country has really taken our power away. And we talk about this time as a time of uncertainty. And what's really interesting about that is we talk about 2020 as a time of uncertainty, but truth be told, before 2020, life was never really certain. So why do we talk about this time as a time of uncertainty? I think what we're basically trying to say is that this year has been full of surprises, but not the good kind of surprises. Surprises that just come from every direction that are causing people stress, anxiety, and loneliness. And so COVID-19 and this whole year has given us this time of uncertainty and taken our feelings of power away. And what I promise to do today is give you some tips and tools that you can use to actually take your power back. And I want to be honest with you, these tools that I'm going to share with you are very simple. Most of you know what I'm going to share. You've heard it before. But sometimes we just need to hear the same thing again in order to really embrace it and process it. And this year started for me, like all of you, just as a new year. 2020, yay, new things are going to happen. And I knew that things were going to change for me in March. And in March, I really learned that we were going on this basically national lockdown, and all of my work as a speaker was canceled. I usually spend the spring flying around the country speaking at events. Nothing, everything is canceled. So I'm now nervous because this is my living. And I got really angry. I had a little bit of a meltdown. And fortunately, I was able to get myself out of it. But I thought to myself, what am I going to do with my time this year? So I actually said to myself that, I can already tell, this is back in March, that this is going to be a bad year for people. And I knew that no matter what was going to happen this year, I was going to be okay mentally and emotionally, because I've been battling with mental health challenges for my entire life. So I decided to take what I had learned that has worked for me and actually create presentations around it to help you. So, what I'm sharing with you is not something that I just came up with out of the clear blue. This is life experience. And many of you were at my presentation years ago, but for those of you that weren't, I just want to share a little bit about my story so you know who I am and why I'm doing this work. I have been struggling with mental health challenges since I was a young child. And for a lot of children, that manifests as behavior problems. Maybe some of you might identify with that. I honestly thought I was a bad kid because I was always in trouble, always getting yelled at, always told to fix my behavior or I have to apologize because I did something. And so my parents decided to put me in Catholic school because they thought the nuns would straighten me out. And everything was going good in second grade and third grade, but in fourth grade, I think you might relate to me here. I had this experience of having that one teacher in the school that nobody wanted to have. In every school, there's always that one teacher that has a reputation known as the evil teacher that nobody wants to have. So this teacher was a nun, and her name was Sister Pat. And one day I was sitting in class, literally, I was sitting like I am right now at a desk, smiling, and she told me to wipe the smile off my face. And I said no. And then she yelled at me, and I said some things back to her that I'm not going to repeat right now. And the next thing I know, I was expelled from that school because of escalating behavior. And that night, my parents had a talk with me about respect. They told me I need to learn to respect adults. And I agreed with them, but I said, nobody has the right to talk down to me. That makes me angry. Again, you might identify with that. Someone talking down to you doesn't feel good. And the rest of fourth grade, I spent at home because I went to another school and quickly got expelled from that school. So 2 expulsions in fourth grade. In the summer between fourth and fifth grade, mommy and daddy took me to see Batman. And I loved the Batman movie. In fact, they promised me if I behaved, I could be Batman or the Joker for Halloween. I don't know if it was the movie or something else, but after that movie, I came home and went into a rage. I became really angry and I didn't understand why. I started just destroying things in my parents' home and I was just angry and out of control. And the next thing I know, I'm put in a mental hospital and my life was taken away from me. All my belongings were taken away from me. And even though they told me in the mental hospital that everything was going to be okay and everyone goes through stuff with mental health, I knew something was wrong with me. That's how I felt about me at the time. In fifth grade, I was put in special education, and I had the one teacher that I will never forget throughout my school years. It's the one teacher I never messed with. I never messed with this woman. She scared me and always kept me in line for behavior. But I did find a way to annoy her. I would tap on my desk and make drum beats with my pencils. And eventually, they let me go to the drum class. I will never forget going to the drum class holding drumsticks. Greatest feeling in the world. And just a side note, years ago when I came to the Family Cafe conference to speak, I got to do drumming with all of you. So that's my other memory of all of you that I wish I could do now. But back to fifth grade, I started to experience what I would later learn is a thing called depression, where I was sad all the time. And I didn't know what to do with my sadness. I would just feel it intensely. And so one day I came home from school and tried to end my life and die by suicide. And I deeply, deeply regret that decision. And I know that there are people out there who have felt like I did, but I didn't have any other way to deal with the pain. And that's also one of the reasons I'm talking to you today, too, because if you are feeling like that or like you want to hurt yourself, there are things that you can do to get the help that you need. I promise you, they are out there. So, fast forward to seventh grade. I'm a lot bigger and I'm a lot stronger, and I'm acting out at home and I'm going into rages all the time. And I want to be honest with you. When you're in seventh grade and you're going into these extreme rages at home, that's not really a rage anymore. That's called violence. And I'm ashamed to admit it, but I want to be honest with you. I was violent at home and I was really angry and I didn't know why. And even if you asked me right now, like, what was making you angry? I really don't know. I'm still learning about what was going on in my mind. The next thing I know, in seventh grade, I'm put in the mental hospital. And this time, they put me in for 6 months, and I couldn't go and see friends. I couldn't go hang out with people. I was stuck in a mental hospital. And it was a really hard time for me. Hard time for me. But eventually, they let me get weekend passes where I can go home on the weekends. And I would come home, and my family, they wanted to do like family stuff. I didn't want to do any of that. So I would lock myself in my bedroom and play the drums for the entire weekend. Missed those days. And that was seventh grade. Between seventh and 10th grade, I was on a first name basis with the local police and the local emergency room. I was constantly in crisis because of my behavior. No matter how hard I tried, no matter how many coping skills they taught me, I struggled to behave. And by the time I finished 10th grade, I had been expelled from 3 schools, in a mental hospital 3 times, attempted to die by suicide, lots of self harm, and violent at home. I was really struggling, and my parents were worried. The summer between 10th and 11th grade changed my life, though. I was 16 years old, and that summer, my mom approached me and she asked me a question. She said, Michael, what would make you happy? When she asked this question, because it was coming from my mom, I knew this was a trick question. So I said, what do you mean? And she said, just answer the question. So I told her the only thing that would make me happy is playing the drums. That's it. And she found a performing arts high school that would allow me to play drums most of the day. And when I started to get to play the drums in 11th grade and 12th grade, my grades started to go up. I was less angry. I started to actually make friends. People wanted to be my friend. And it really started to help me feel better about myself. I was less depressed. I was less anxious. And so that's my history of being a youth. And I want to say this, though. I'm an adult now, and I still struggle with mental health challenges. I live with depression. I battle anxiety, and I've been diagnosed with something called obsessive compulsive disorder. My depression makes me feel sad all the time. Sometimes I can't get out of bed because I'm so sad. My anxiety makes it actually hard to get on Zoom and Facebook Live and talk with you. Even though I do this all the time, I'm feeling a bit of anxiety in my chest as I'm talking to you. And with my obsessive compulsive disorder, sometimes I have things that come up in my mind and I just can't stop thinking about them. And it distracts me from staying focused. And with all of that, I've actually learned some tools that you can use to help you navigate your own mental health. So if any of you are struggling like I did, or struggling right now with anything, my heart goes out to you. And I want to promise you something, that as someone who's been through so much, there are things that you can do to get better and feel better. And so I want to start with that. There are 3 things that have been coming up during this pandemic that have really caused a lot of mental health issues for everyone. They are stress, anxiety, and loneliness. And I want to talk to you about each one and give you some things that you can start doing to help yourself in those areas. So let's start with stress. Stress means we are overwhelmed with so many things. Maybe there's stuff you have to do for school, stuff you have to do at home, other things in your life, and just too much happening all at once, and you feel overwhelmed. Here is something that you can start doing every single day that will help you reduce your stress right away. Right in front of me, I actually have a tool that I use to manage stress. And this tool is a pad of paper and a pen. Taking time each day to write down whatever is on your mind is a great way to release stress, because sometimes when we have it all caught up here, that's when it really becomes overwhelming. But the moment you put it on paper, it won't take away your stress completely, but it will make it more manageable. So I encourage you to do that, and not just writing down the things that you have to do, but maybe you're angry at someone. Write that down. Maybe there's something you're dreaming about. Write that down. Maybe there's a picture you want to draw. draw the picture, get it out of your head onto a piece of paper. And just so you know, I actually, during this pandemic, I moved into a new home. And because this is such a powerful tool, I put pads like this in every single room with a pen. So it doesn't matter where I am, if I have stuff that's on my mind, that I can do that. So that's one way you can manage stress. The other thing I want to talk to you about when it comes to stress is castles. Yep, I want to talk to you about castles. So, when I was younger, I used to watch cartoons and TV shows with castles. And for those of you that haven't ever seen a castle, I just want to explain what I mean by castle. A castle was this giant building in medieval times that was made of bricks and stones. And if I came to the castle right now, I couldn't just walk in because the castle had a body of water around it called a moat. And so, in order for me to get into the castle, I would have to go to the castle and say, "Can somebody let me in?" And somebody would come to the roof of the castle and say, "Who goes there?" And I would say, "It's Mike Feeney." And if they thought I was a friend, they would let down the drawbridge for me. If they didn't think I was a friend, they might take cannons and start shooting cannons at me or just not let me in. But I want you to think about that image for a second. The castle had to make sure that I was okay and let the drawbridge down for me to come in. There's something in our lives right now in 2020 that all of us are letting the drawbridge down for, that's causing all of us stress that we don't even realize. And that thing that we are letting the drawbridge down for is this mobile device that we carry around in our pockets. In fact, after I finish this presentation, I'm going to go on Facebook and look at your comments. And by the way, if you have anything that you want to ask, please leave it in the comments because I'm going to be taking questions at the end. But right away after this presentation, I'm going to go on my phone and look at comments and answer any of your comments or messages that you send me. But the reality is I don't have to pick up that phone right away after. And sometimes, even though we have our phones on us and iPads and we all use social media, sometimes constantly being on it over and over again throughout the day stresses us out. Looking at the news stresses us out. So it's really important that you think about castles because you have this opportunity to choose who you let the drawbridge down for. So one of my friends, my friend Brendan, I don't know how he does this, has this rule where he wakes up in the morning and he will not touch his mobile device till like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I think that's amazing. Like, I don't know how the guy does it, but I think that's incredible. So I think that's really, really important to just start getting yourself in the habit of simply turning this off for periods of time throughout the day. And I promise you, you're not going to miss anything. In fact, your stress will go down. So those are two ways that you can think about reducing stress in your life. Number one, you can write down things on a pad of paper when they're on your mind. Number two, you can think of your use of mobile devices as a castle that you have to let the drawbridge down for. And here's what happens when you start doing those two things. You start to take back control of your life. And that's one step to taking your power back. That's what we want you to do. Take your power back. The next thing I want to bring up is anxiety. And for a lot of us, anxiety is coming up. And that can mean anything from a little bit of fear to fear that takes over your body to the point that you can't do anything. I know when I have anxiety, I really feel it in my chest and I breathe really fast and I don't think straight. I don't think straight. And sometimes it makes it really hard to focus. So if you have anxiety, my heart goes out to you. I know that it's difficult. One thing that you can do for your anxiety is simply talk about it with someone else, particularly a therapist. Now, a therapist might not seem like someone you do want to talk to, but therapists are trained professionals that are there to listen to you and can actually help you. And one way to look at going to therapy for all of you, some people don't want to go to therapy because they think, well, I'm going to be, I'm less of a person if I go to therapy. You're not. You're a human being. We all do. Therapy can actually help you with becoming more successful in life. And one of the things that I learned about therapy is that it's a tool for self-discovery. There is a restaurant that maybe you have been to, and it's a restaurant called the Outback Steakhouse. And as I'm talking about this, I'm about to make myself really hungry. And in the Outback Steakhouse, there is an appetizer called the Bloomin Onion. And if you've never seen this thing, Google it. The Bloomin Onion is this onion that they pierce down the middle and they deep fry it. And when it comes out, it's really big. And you see all the layers. And when it gets to your table, it goes away really fast because it's really good. And here's the thing about the Bloomin' Onion. When it comes out, you actually see how many layers an onion has. We all know an onion has layers, but when the Bloomin' Onion comes out, you see those layers. That's what therapy does for you. When you go to therapy, you get to see the different layers you have. You see, there's what you know about yourself, what you don't know about yourself, and what you didn't even realize that you didn't even realize that you didn't know about yourself. So I encourage you to talk to a therapist. I've been very fortunate that during this time in COVID-19, I've been able to go to my therapist each week on my phone. We do a FaceTime thing, and it has really been great when I'm stressed about the COVID-19 situation, which right now is increasing where I am in New York. Oh my gosh, having my therapist to talk to has been great for me. It doesn't take away the anxiety completely, but it makes it more manageable. That's what you're looking for. So I would love to be able to wave a magic wand for all of you and just say, oh, your stress and anxiety and sadness and anger are gone. It doesn't work like that, but you can make it more manageable. That's what I want you to think about, making it more manageable. The other thing that has come up for me is learning about using my own physical body to help me relieve anxiety. Sometimes when we think we have anxiety, we think we need to just, you know, get rid of it. And sometimes people think, well, maybe I need to talk to a therapist and get medication. And sometimes that's appropriate to do. But one of the ways that you can learn to release it very quickly, and this is something I wish I would have learned as a kid, is to learn to use your own body to help you release anxiety. There's a wonderful book that has been going around the world of mental health right now, and it's called The Body Keeps the Score. And the beautiful thing about this book is it teaches you that when you've got anger and different emotions and you feel it in your chest, it's actually in your chest. When you get angry at that one person that you get angry at and feel it somewhere in your body, it's actually in your body. So learning how to release all different emotions, not just anxiety, through the body is important. One way that I do that is through drumming. I'm still a drummer, and if this were a presentation, I would bring my drum and play for you, but I can't do that right now with the room I'm in. However, you can find some of that on YouTube because it's there. Another thing that has helped me is learning to do yoga and just simply stretch my body actually helps you release anxiety. So learning to do things that help you sit in your body and release emotions is really where it's at. The other thing that I do, and I just want to bring this up, it's not about anxiety, is I enrolled in a boxing gym this year, and I did the boxing. I'm not a boxer, by the way. I just have gloves and I punch a bag. But one of the reasons I do it is not for fitness. I do it for my anger and anxiety. And here's the interesting thing about boxing. I'm going to actually do this on a Facebook Live. I can't believe this. When you're boxing, okay, you start out using your arms. But when you get into it, you actually start using your legs. And when you start using your legs, you actually feel like you're taking your power back because you're standing on your own 2 feet, standing up for yourself. So anything that you can do physically and get your legs involved can really help you emotionally. Again, I wish I had known this years ago. So far, I just want to review what we have. And please, if you have any questions, throw them at me. I'm going to take some time at the end to answer your questions. I love questions. Doesn't matter what it is. And number one, to reduce stress, you can write down everything that's on your mind. Just start doing that. Take a pen, piece of paper. Anyone can do it. Number two, you can go on a diet with your mobile device. Okay, really reduce the stress really quickly. When it comes to anxiety, start talking to a therapist. And if you already are going to therapy, I encourage you to make sure you're making the most of that time with your therapist and using your body, learning to use your body to help you release emotions. But there's one thing that has really been hitting the world this year more than stress and anxiety, and that's loneliness. A lot of people are struggling with loneliness. I mean, look at how we're interacting right now. We're on screens. Even though this might be good that you're here talking with me, we're still on screens. And that's causing a lot of sadness for a lot of people. I've had a real difficult time with that. In fact, I told you before at the beginning of my presentation, one of the hardest things about doing this presentation with all of you is that I'm thinking of all of you that I met years ago and I can't see you in person. And it's making me sad right now. So loneliness is a very real thing right now, even if you're an introvert like me. So I wanted to share some things that I believe that you can start doing today to help you with your loneliness. One of the things that you can do is realize that some of your friends might be struggling and need your help. And if you have a friend who's struggling, I encourage you to be supportive of that friend. And there are two things that you can actually say to a friend who's struggling that can really help them, especially if they're anxious, angry, depressed. One is, help me understand. And the other is, how can I support you? Notice that I didn't give advice there. A lot of times when we have someone in our life who's struggling, we want to give them advice. I encourage you to cheer up. I encourage you to do this. It doesn't work. If I'm depressed and you want to be my friend and you want to support me, telling me to cheer up and think positive thoughts is probably going to put a wall between you and I. But if you say, how can I support you, Mike? I'm going to think about that for a second. Help me understand. Or even a question like, what do you need from me right now? Is a great question to ask. And I encourage you to do that. If you have any friends that you see over FaceTime or on social media who don't seem like their normal selves, maybe they're not taking care of their appearance, they might be struggling. And it's really important to reach out. And if you know someone who might be feeling suicidal, it's important to reach out to the people at the Family Cafe. They're there to help you and support you through these kinds of things. So that's one thing you can actually do to help with loneliness. But then there's, again, this idea that we're stuck behind these cameras right here. I had an interesting thing happen to me during the pandemic. I was filming in the basement by myself, filming courses. And I would film a course, again, by myself in the basement. I would hit the camera, hit record. And when I was done, I felt this good feeling of connection, like you and I connected, even though there was no one there. And I was trying to think about what was going on. And then I understood after I reflected for a while. One dimensional communication is when you and I send each other an email or a Facebook message, or you leave a comment in Facebook, which you haven't, if you haven't done that, please leave a comment below and say hello. But that's one dimensional communication. Two-dimensional communication is you and I getting on the phone to talk to each other. We get to hear each other's voice, all that stuff. But three-dimensional communication is our favorite. That's when we are face to face with each other. Unfortunately, we can't do that. So I realized that in between two-dimensional and three-dimensional is what I like to call 2.5, what we're doing right now. Here's a tip that you can use to make this type of communication that we're doing over FaceTime, over Facebook Live, over Zoom more effective. When you are talking to someone, kind of like I'm talking to you, I can actually like see you on the camera below me. So if I look down a little bit, I can sort of see you. But if I just look into the camera, I'm not really looking at you. I'm just looking into a camera. But here's a tip. When you look into the camera, and listen to this very carefully here, make it a point to imagine the person you're looking at and imagine looking into their eyes and seeing their humanity. That's it. And hopefully you feel for a moment that I'm looking at you and seeing you. And it's important not to keep staring the entire time because that'll be weird and we don't want to creep people out. But it's important to do that. And when you do that, the person on the other side will feel it. And as we start to get to this better place of doing things in person more, because we're eventually going to start doing that, I'm going to challenge you to do that then in person. Look into people's eyes for a moment and see their humanity. Out of all of the things that I've been taught to help me with my mental health, I wish I would have learned that when I was younger. We all need to connect. And when you have those opportunities to do that, it can really help with loneliness and can really help with depression. So I promise you that's an important thing. So, two things I brought up there when it comes to loneliness is find ways to talk to your friends who are struggling and help them in a supportive way. And also use the opportunity when you are in front of the camera on FaceTime, on Zoom, to just look in the camera and picture looking into someone's eyes. And I promise you, the person on the other side will feel that. So, in summary, the things that I've given you here are ways to reduce your stress, release some of your anxiety, and also deal with your loneliness. These are really important things to keep in mind because they can really help you navigate this difficult time. Also, one thing I do want to say that I hadn't said before, if any of you have lost someone to COVID-19 or just lost anyone this year, my heart goes out to you. And I know that there's nothing that I can say that can take that away, but just know that I'm thinking of you. So when you start doing all of these things, and I challenge you to find one or two things that you can start doing every day for your stress, anxiety, and loneliness, something magical starts to happen. You start to take the power back. No matter what news comes out about COVID-19, lockdowns and quarantines, no matter what political news comes out, you start to take your power back. And that's something that I really want for you. And that's why I'm giving this presentation. I want to share a few other things with you here. And when I was younger, I shared about how I was constantly angry, I was sad, and I was anxious. And, you know, it took me years through therapy to work through that and learn how to be healthier and feel good about myself. But there was one tool besides looking in someone's eyes that has changed my life forever. And this is for not only the youth watching, but the adults watching too. When you have feelings come up, whatever the feelings are, learn to sit with your feelings. Even the ugly, uncomfortable ones that you don't want to feel. It's really important. And throughout the day, you can ask yourself three questions. There's three questions I ask myself throughout the day. One is, what am I feeling? You can ask yourself right now. Ask yourself, what are you feeling? And if you want to leave a comment, tell us what you're feeling. I'd love to know what you're feeling. And I'm going to be looking at all the comments after I'm done and answering them. The other thing that you can do is ask yourself, where am I feeling it? So if you're feeling something, you figure that out and locate it in the body. It's pretty interesting when you actually do that. You can totally feel empowered by just knowing where the feeling is in the body. And the third question you can ask yourself is, what do I need right now? And that can mean the difference from just being in a bad mood versus having a meltdown and losing it. So it's really important that you learn to sit with your feelings. Really, really important. And that being said, when it comes to the emotions, there are three emotions that I have heard about from other people that seem to be the most difficult emotions for all of us to deal with. The most difficult emotions. And those three emotions are anger, grief, and fear. In fact, we don't even like to talk about them. And if you think about it, when I talk about anger, a lot of people think hostility and violence. When I talk about fear, I mean real heavy anxiety. And grief, it's basically depression. And I've had to learn to deal with those three difficult emotions in my life through therapy, through writing things down, and all the other stuff that I do. But I want to share a secret with all of you, and I need you to listen very closely to what I'm about to say, because when I learned about this secret, it changed my mental health forever. It changed my mental health to the point where I've actually used the H word in the past 2 years. And the H word is happy. Here's the secret. Those three emotions, anger, grief, and fear, the most difficult of all, are actually three of the best emotions you could ever have. And here's how. If you have grief or sadness and you learn to sit with your feelings, talk with a therapist, express your feelings in a healthy way, that sadness eventually becomes joy. It eventually does. But you have to do the work. If you have fear, left unchecked, it can become anxiety. If you have anxiety, it's going to make it worse. But if you learn to sit and feel your fear and to talk about it with someone in your life and a mental health professional, that fear becomes vision and courage. And anger, the worst one of all. You might be asking yourself, how can that be a good thing, Mike? Anger, when you process it with a therapist, when you talk about it with people, when you let it out in a healthy way, anger becomes passion, leadership, and decisiveness. You need your anger. You need your sadness. You need your fear. But it's important to learn to work with them. You know, I shared with you my story about growing up and struggling with my mental health. And had I not discovered some of the things that I discovered, I might have actually ended up being in a mental hospital for the rest of my life. But you're talking to someone who has a wonderful career. I've been very fortunate to have a very good career, a company that I lead, doing great work in the world, and a very happy life. And the only reason I got there is because I took the power back for myself. I know that this has been a difficult year. And I know that many of you are not only struggling because of just the world around you, but many of you have parents and guardians who are struggling too. You've got this great opportunity to not only help yourself, but help the people you live with. So I really challenge you to think about what I said and sit with your feelings, manage your anxiety, manage your stress, manage your loneliness, and take your power back. And ultimately, what you'll learn in that is that what it means to be a real advocate. And I know that we are almost out of time, and I'm going to take some time for questions. And I just want to check with my team over here. Nikki and Alex, do we have any questions coming in?
Yeah, we do. We actually have a couple of questions for you.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to answer those in a moment. I just want to say before we go into questions, first of all, thank you all for being here. I'm going to take some time to answer your questions and keep them coming. I will answer as many as I can. I am here for you. You guys are my party here on Saturday that I get to hang out with. And so I wanted to remind you that you can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Please follow me. Please send me a message. If you ever have a question, just reach out to me and I'll do my best to answer you. I'm not a mental health professional. I am just Mike. But I just want to say, as a person with the struggles that I have also, thank you for listening to me and thank you for giving me your time today and your attention. That really means the world to me. And just the opportunity to be here with you has made me feel so much better. So thank you. And now we're going to take some time for questions.
Okay, so the first question is, when you don't have your drums and your notepad, how do you cope with anger and anxiety at the same time?
Whew. Whoever asked that question, thank you. And I love that question because, yeah, I can't always have my drums and my notepad with me. It's just not going to work like that in life. Or I might have the drums, but people are around and they don't want to hear noise, or the pad might be out of paper. Here's what I have found. And I said this before, I'm going to repeat it again. It's really important when you are struggling with anxiety, anger, sadness all at once that you take the time to pause. That's been the big thing that has helped. Learning to just pause. So even if all my devices are taken away from me, I can just sit and pause. The other thing is, again, asking myself the three questions that I said before. One, what am I feeling? When you ask yourself that question, it forces you to get clear in your own head with what's going on. In fact, just asking that question might calm you down and ground you. The second question is, where is it located? So if you're feeling anxiety and depression at the same time, just try to notice in your body and even touch, where is it located? And the third one is asking yourself, what do I need right now? And you know what? What you need might be simply a glass of water. You just might need to go outside for a walk. But the idea is, when you start to become aware of what's going on, you actually don't need to worry about the different devices that you use all the time to help you. You'll actually gain some internal tools that you'll figure out on your own. It's pretty powerful. So I encourage you to do that. And thank you so much to the person who asked that question. That was an incredible question.
Hey, Mike, I got another question for you. One of our viewers asked, who was your favorite percussionist growing up?
Oh my gosh, how much time do I have for this question? This this is gonna we're gonna go way over the hour on this one. No, I have a few favorite drummers, and I'm gonna say the one that comes to mind right now. There's a rock band called Led Zeppelin, classic rock band, and the drummer's name was John Bonham. And if you Google this drummer on YouTube, just put in like Led Zeppelin drums, what was interesting about the way this man played, you could tell that the way he played drums, he clearly had some anger management issues. And so I would always just look at him, and it wasn't just how good he sounded, but it was like I could tell he was just like me and had anger. So there's something about even listening to Led Zeppelin now that just brings me back to that. But he is one of my favorite drummers. Another one is a guy named Dennis Chambers, who just, his hands just, I don't know, fly and you can't see them, but he's an amazing drummer who's played with Santana. So those are two off the top of my head that I grew up listening to and still love. Thank you for that question.
All right, next question. How hard was it being in a mental hospital at a young age and not having your parents around on you mentally?
Thank you to whoever asked this question. It just brought up so much emotion. Thank you for asking this. Being in a mental hospital was so hard. It was scary. It was isolating. I'll be honest with you that what was hard was when I was in fourth grade in the mental hospital, I would look out the window at night in my bedroom, and across the street was the county jail. And I knew that the people in the jail had the exact same rights as me. It really made me feel bad about myself. You know, I felt not loved because friends didn't come visit me or call me or anything like that. So it was a very, very scary, very lonely place. And at the same time, it helped me so much because I really needed it. So I don't know if that makes sense. Like, in one sense, it was a place I never want to have to go again. But at the same time, it really, really helped me. And I realized that when it comes to mental health, sometimes you get yourself to a place where you need that kind of help, and that's okay. So if you do need to go into a mental hospital, sometimes that's what's needed. And the beautiful thing about having a therapist and talking with people about what's going on is you can find the right things that work for you. But here's the thing to remember: if you ever have to go into a mental hospital, it's only temporary. It's usually to get you out of a severe situation. Maybe you're threatening to harm yourself or harming others. You might need that. So the thing is, though, for me, it was a very just isolating experience, and I think about it often. Just one quick thing I'll say in closing with that is, if you look, I have a TEDx talk online, and when I did the talk, I don't even remember what came out of my mouth, but all I remember was going on stage, and all I saw was the walls of the mental hospital. It's like my mind went back to fourth grade, being in that mental hospital. And then I finished the speech and it was done. And I got off stage. So thank you for asking that question. And I promise you, I just want to say this again to everyone watching. Um, Keep the questions coming. And if you ever have to go to a mental hospital, or you struggle with mental health challenges, it's okay. You're not less of a person because of it. You're a human being. Happens to all of us.
Mike, I think a lot of people will appreciate, sharing your story and how, you came from that adversity to where you are now. People have gone through depression in so many ways. And like when you mentioned earlier in the session about the three different types of depression, many people only understand like the sad or gloomy part of depression. The one that, individuals, they don't want to speak to anybody because they feel sad all the time. But I think there was another part of depression that people kind of overlook. And that type of depression comes to anger, which is under the umbrella term, turns into retaliation. Like they go after people who feel like they have done them wrong. And um, when you see news outlets when talk about these shootings that have happened before in the past, especially school shootings, and we all know that they discuss about the person's mental health and how that has impacted them, and things that could have helped to prevent those things to happen. But another thing is when you mention about social media and how social media really kind of, to put it, appropriately, radicalize people in certain ways because they started believing in certain things, and then they started following, and they started um, talking with other people that made them feel the same thing, and being that type of tribalism where those individuals are so angry at everything that's going on and they want to retaliate against those people. My question to you is, how can you able to reach out those individuals that are trying to seek validation from people, knowing that the fact that we live in a culture where people kind of just make up their own rules to kind of see like how they feel, what they make them feel human, or how they feel like if they're less of a man or no better than a man or no less, so on and so forth. How do you able to reach out those types of individuals?
You just asked so many things in that question. I love what we're talking about here. Let me go to the school shootings first, because one of the, dare I say, blessings of this pandemic is there have been pretty much no school shootings for like the first time in a really long time. And I'm hopeful that as we get out of this pandemic, we can keep that going. When it comes to school shootings, there's two sides of looking at it. Some people say that the person had mental health challenges. Some people say you can't just throw that on people with mental health challenges because it makes them violent. And I think, there's no right answer. We never know what goes on through someone's mind. I do want to say this, though, that sometimes in this world, there are people who just want to do harm to others, and it's not even like, even in anger, they just want to do harm. I don't get it. That's not me, but some people do that. But also, you're right, though, when it comes to shootings, there's issues of anger. And sometimes my therapist has taught me that depression is actually anger turned inward. So that whole depression anger thing is kind of like two things hanging out in the same house. And so if you maybe struggle with feeling irritable, maybe you're constantly feeling moody, maybe you are just feeling like you're an angry person, that actually might be depression. Depression manifests in different ways. Depression can mean that you just don't feel like doing certain activities that you used to do. And believe it or not, sometimes I know people tell me that, well, I just want to play video games all the time. There's nothing wrong with playing video games, they're great. But sometimes we do things like that as an escape activity from depression. So just things to keep in mind about what you might be going through when it comes to that. But, Alex just asked me something really incredible about how do we reach people basically before something like this happens. That's what you were essentially saying, before something really bad happens. If I had the answer to that, I'd be a very wealthy man. But here's what I think we can all think about to get to the answer. We're constantly stuck on social media more than any other time in history. And some people have told me that Instagram is like, they call it the CNN of envy. The moment you start scrolling through Instagram, you realize what everyone else has and what you don't have. Social media isn't reality. It's not reality. It's a snapshot. And I want to share a quick story, and I want you all to remember this about social media. I had a friend, and she has a family, two beautiful boys. And I said to her one day, I said, I love that picture you put up on Instagram of you and your boys. And it was a beautiful picture. Like, I don't usually comment on people's kids in a picture, right? And she said to me, she said, can I tell you the truth about that picture? I said, yeah. She said, I got them to hold the pose, took the picture, and right after the camera went off, one of them punches the other. That's a very real thing to think about. When we're looking at social media, we're only getting a snapshot of reality. It's not the real thing. So it's really important to get off social media and nurture relationships like this, talking to people, looking in their eyes. And I think the more that we're intentional, going back to Alex, your answer to your question here, being intentional about reaching out to others, especially people we don't talk to, making new friends. We all just want to feel like we belong and feel loved, right? That's essentially all we all want. And when we don't get that, it comes out in some really ugly ways. So I encourage you to think about that. And thank you just so much for bringing that up as a question. So thank you.
All right, next question. How do you deal with the negative Nancy when it comes to your mental health?
I love these questions. Okay, and we're recording this too. Okay, this is good because I'm going to have to go back and look at this for myself. This question has been like a theme in my life lately. How do you deal with a negative Nancy? Well, I could easily say to you, don't talk to negative Nancy. But the reality is we have family members that we're stuck with, and friends and people we interact with at work that just might be negative. First of all, I think it's really important to set boundaries in conversation with people. Sometimes, especially during the pandemic, there's a thing that people do called trauma bonding. Maybe you and I have both been through a lot with this pandemic, and we talk to each other and we always talk about, when's this going to end? You know, I'm just worried about this, and I can't stand this, and this politician this, and this one that. If we get stuck in those conversations, we allow ourselves to get to a negative place. So it's really important to know the people who have those negative conversations with us and put a limit on it. That's it. We don't have to necessarily stop. We just put a limit. Say, okay, I'm only going to talk to this person for 5 minutes. The other thing is learning to say no to people. This one is one of the most difficult things that any of us ever has to do. We don't want to say no to people because we think they won't like us, or they'll not want to talk to us, or think bad of us. But it's really important for our mental health to say no to certain things. It doesn't make you a bad person. Understanding what you need, going back to what do I need? Sometimes that need is simply saying no and putting boundaries up with people. So here's what I would suggest. If you've got a negative Nancy, or for all of you, I would actually make a list of the people that you interact with in life. And I've done this recently, and it was not easy. Make a list of people you interact with, and right next to each name, how you feel when you interact with them. How does it make you feel? And I'm sure you're going to realize that some people feels great and others not so great. It's important to be intentional about spending more time with the people you feel good around. You know, and I will be honest with you, I said it before, I love working with the Family Cafe. And one of the reasons I was super excited about this today was because I just got great feelings from meeting all of you 2 years ago. So this is an example of me going to something where I just felt good. And it's like, I got to hang out with these people again. So thank you for that question.
Well, Mike, it looks like we have one final question for you. The final question is, with the culture that we have had that's been structured here for many, I guess, young individuals like myself. I don't know how old you are, so I'm just, I don't want to but how can you able to what was your best advice for them in order, like, people that have struggled in school, people who have gone through those struggles, like what is your best advice, to give them, at least they can able to pass it on to generations to come and more generations to come. At least we can able to send that optimism, but that hopium to able to at least have more inclusion for the next generations to come.
For those of you who are watching this, who struggle with something, whatever it is, maybe you've got challenges, a disability, or just a situation in life that's a struggle. I promise you something, that you can move beyond the struggle if you choose to. It's a choice. And sometimes it feels impossible. Sometimes it seems impossible. Sometimes the people around you will tell you it's impossible. But I promise you, if you really think big for yourself, it might feel uncomfortable to think big, but that's going to be the thing that moves you past the challenge. And that's the thing that's going to make you a successful advocate. A lot of times people think advocacy is about just, letting people know about this or letting people know about that, or just trying to go on Capitol Hill and do a protest. That is advocacy. But the real hardcore advocates know one thing. It's all about going after the challenges and the haters and pushing past them. That's what advocacy is at its essence. So I encourage you, no matter what you're going through, to think about that and think big and work hard and take the people that you've met through the Family Cafe on this journey with you. There's some great people in this organization who can help you move to that next level. I just want to say thank you again to all of you. Just so much gratitude. I feel so much better being here, and I look forward to connecting with all of you on social media.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today. Just to let everyone know, we have a report card link down in the comment section. If you would fill it out and hit submit, we'd deeply appreciate it.
Well, we hope you guys enjoy the first day of the Youth Summit. We hope you guys will join us tomorrow for more sessions to come with Craig Lampton on youth with disabilities and bullying, empowering our youth to persevere. That session will actually start around 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here live on Facebook, on Family Cafe official Facebook page, and also share on our Florida Youth Council page. So thank you, Mike, Vinny. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we will talk to you later. Have a great the rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow.
Yes, thank you. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.